Who the group is right now.
This is the group. Hi, this is Heather Barnes live from Monroe Continuation High School. Thanking my colleagues for assisting me with my assignment. We're supposed to be reviewing the implications of Common Core instruction for content area learning. The main thing with Common Core is that it focuses on skills first, and the skills discussion is overlaid with content area vocabulary instruction and sort of old-fashioned teaching, if you will. The objectives of Common Core are to make sense of rigorous text, to master crucial vocabulary. Mostly you're going to start with reading comprehension, and then based on comprehension issues, then you will move forward and end up with foundational skills. So it's skills first, then you move through the construction of the skills in order to help them get meaning out of the content. So Common Core focuses on speaking and writing, so a lot of things that used to be done with cut and paste or drill and practice would now be developed through conversation and in-depth writing skills. Common Core is designed to shift the focus of instruction to address lagging literacy skills, and there are three key shifts that should be emphasized in content classrooms. First is content-rich text, whether it's Scientific American or articles from the New York Times or original source documents. Content-rich nonfiction text is the starting point, and from there you build reading and writing skills grounded in evidence based on the text that's provided.
What type of nonfiction text?
Nonfiction text you could actually use old-fashioned textbooks, but the preference is to make the nonfiction text applicable to the classroom setting. Again, you could use current events news articles, you could use current nonfiction books like Brain Rules by Medina or Pirates, Prisoners, and Lepers by Robinson, current literature, not literature, nonfiction text. So another thing that's important with Common Core is vertical alignment, where you're looking to see that the skills are building one on top of another. It helps if you can diagnose the ability level of each student in the anchor standard, and then once you know their starting point, then you can move them forward individually as well as a group. Which, wouldn't it be nice if we all had a group that was starting at the same point? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The third main shift in Common Core is that students are receiving regular and repeated practice with the complex text, allowing you to focus on academic language and content language simultaneously as you work on their reading and literacy skills. Supporting students in developing key academic vocabulary like compare and document and analyze and clarify. At the same time, they're developing content-specific vocabulary like ignite or volatile or malleable and things like that. So it's a tandem. You're doing the skills instruction and the content instruction all tied. The recommended sequence for designing lessons has been sort of put on end from what I grew up with. Standards-based instruction should start with which standards you're looking at. Do you want them to specifically understand how to compare and contrast? And then from the standards, then you will figure out what learning skills they need in order to meet that standard. After you've identified learning skills, then you would elaborate with your students what does mastery look like? How will you know when they managed to meet that level of mastery? And only then would you develop your assessment. And then later on, after you've already developed your assessment, your rubric and your formatives, how you're going to actually do the instruction, only at the very end would you choose resources that overlaid and matched the standards and skills that you were working on with your class at the time. So that's about it. The old way started with resources, and now the new way ends with resources. The new way starts with the standards and skills, and the old way sometimes address standards and skills and sometimes not. So that's it.
Awesome.
That's my summary of how Common Core overlays with content area instruction.
Definitely more complicated with mathematics because we don't use text very much. So we do have word problems that develop language that is useful.
That is true. Mathematics has its own set of standards where they've essentially diluted, not diluted, but refined, so you have fewer tasks each year with greater depth and complexity in each area.
There's a focus, right? Start with the standard, then you like later focus in on what that standard actually would be.
Excellent, yes. Good summary. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Okay.
Well, I worry that if we're doing this new way of teaching at the K through 12, then what happens when they go into university? Are they doing this in university also, or are the students going to all of a sudden have this hit a wall and go, what in the world is going on?
Oh,
Well, I think the main thing of Common Core is to get the basic skills that are necessary, so when they do go to college and are working independently, they already have the foundation of looking for specific content in the textbook and organizing it and whatever kind of sense for that.
and I can piggyback off that. When they were formulating Common Core, they not only went to the businesses or other countries, they went to the colleges. They asked the colleges what they wanted to see out of high school students. So Common Core is accounting for college and career readiness, and that's in the anchor standard.
Yeah, that was the basis, and then once they had the standards, what everybody should know when they are going into college, then the standards were broken down and worked backwards.
Okay.
How do you get from being a kindergartner who doesn't know their alphabet all the way to college and career readiness was built after the standards were in place. Okay. So backwards mapping. It is a concern. That was one of the major reasons why the whole movement took place. Students were not ready for college. They were not ready for independent learning. They didn't know how to behave in an environment where you had to think independently on those higher order levels.
Or in the workplace.
Or in the workplace.
They asked to read a prompt or like a manual, and they couldn't report on that. That was part of it.
Okay. Thanks so much for helping.
You're welcome. Bye.
I think
So,
Shout out.